So I was playing Portal 2 this week as the next game on my backlog, and I was loving it. I loved Portal 1. I'm loving Portal 2. Catching up on all the memes and references over the years and the spoilers I saw without ever actually playing the game. I had a lot of fun with it. But I came to a room that I got stuck on in two separate spots. And I have mentioned it before in my previous videos. I think I've mentioned not wanting to use a guide. I've used guides that help me get through games very efficiently, but definitely took away from the experience. So I was like, no, I'm not going to use a guide. This is a short game to begin with. I can figure this out. In actuality, I don't know how long it took me, but I think maybe it took me an hour and a half to 2 hours to finish this room. But as I was going through it with it, I thought I came up with what I wanted to talk about today, which is life doesn't give you a guide. And I was thinking about that with life, like we are put in life. We all get different circumstances. Nobody's two lives are the same. And then we go from there. We all have different starting points, and nobody tells us where to go from there and what we should do, what we need to do. And I was thinking, I think that's a great idea to talk about. But then I kind of remembered there are guides for everything. Like everything. You think about it. From the time that we are young and we start you might go to preschool or, then kindergarten, then your grade school. And then after that, you either go to trade school or college. And then even after that, up until much more recently, it was pretty much a given that like what you should do, the guide to where you should go in life is you should work, 40 years, then retire at one company. What is that? It's kind of a guide of here's what you're going to need in life. You can debate on how well each guide is written or how well each guide is, but this is what you need to do this. And there are guides for pretty much anything. Nobody teaches you, like life doesn't teach you how to be a parent, as a good example. And as I've learned as a parent, life doesn't teach you how to be a parent. There are guides that others have written, whether books or classes, whatever, on how to do, and you'll see a lot of different contradicting information. And even on YouTube, parenting, for the example, but on YouTube, you'll find guides for pretty much anything. You want to repair your car, you want to become a YouTuber. Like there are guides for everything. Or, if you want to get through a puzzle you're stuck on in Portal 2. I wasn't going to look up a guide. But these guides, I would argue, didn't come from life, but came from people who experienced life. It came from somebody's experience with that firsthand. And these guides can be helpful to go through, and especially when you're learning a new skill, or you're dealing with something of high importance, like parenting, just an example. I guess the emphasis that I wanted to put on there is any guides that we have in life, or this is how you do this, that didn't come from life. That came from somebody's experience, and everybody's experiences are different, which is why you're going to find guides that contradict information as well. The emphasis is on experience. Once you've kind of experienced it and you know how to go through it, then you're kind of able to make a guide if that's what you want to do. But too many of us get stuck on the guide portion, too many guides, where we watch all these how-to videos, where you're watching, as in taking in all this information, but not experiencing any of it firsthand. This is when we get into the world of analysis paralysis. If you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, starting about whatever else. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are guides that are really helpful. For in this video game, if I would have just looked up how to do it, I could have moved on and finished it. But the answer isn't always that clear on what you should do, with something a little bit more subjective, like trying to start a YouTube channel. As I gave that example, I'll just keep going with that. When you're taking in too much information and not enough experience, that's when you get into analysis paralysis, and that's when you get into trouble, and a lot of times you don't even really start. When you do start, you realize that there is no teacher like experience. And that's what I've learned firsthand through doing this. So the important thing that I wanted to say is life doesn't give you guides, and all the guides you used, while they're not inherently bad, they came from those who got the experience firsthand, and that is the key. Life and the experience it gives you is the best teacher. So I would encourage you, if you have analysis paralysis, if you've been looking at too many guides on how to do something without actually stopping, to actually try and go and just start. And one of the key things I found that's helped me here with this YouTube channel is by, if it's something a little bit more subjective like you wanted to create, is give yourself a deadline. When you give yourself a deadline, you have to do to the best of your ability by this point in time. And you do it to the best of your ability, but because you went through the whole process and you finished it, then you come back, you can learn from that, you know how it can be better, but then when you give it another go, you can refine your craft as you go. Deadlines were the thing that I really wanted to share there. So life doesn't give you a guide, but a lot of people will, and while they can be very helpful for whatever you're trying to do, the problem is we don't want to be consuming too much information. That's where we get into analysis paralysis and not actually trying to do whatever it is that you wanted to do in the first place. So less reliance on guides, more gaining experience is what I wanted to share with you today. So as I was going through this room, first off, you saw that with the button on the wall in the first portion, I just did not realize that was a button, or I thought I was supposed to bring out a platform or something. I did not think about just trying to jump up and hit it until I finally did it. And then in the second part of it, I knew that this was clearly where I saw the exit. I knew that this was clearly where I needed to go up. I just didn't know how to do it. And actually, it wasn't until I took a little break to reheat the last piece of chicken pot pie from dinner, and I was just thinking about what I might wanted to say in a video or something like this. And one of the big things is as you gain experience and as you acquire new information, what be it through a guide or not, you can drawing from what you know can a lot of times help lead you forward or over your next obstacle, which in this case, I remembered that gap that I thought in the ceiling was just for me to jump high enough to make it across initially, was actually so I could shoot a portal back down there. And that would help me get to where, or, give me the bouncy gel, so then that it would have slingshot me up top. So it felt very satisfying to be able to figure that out for myself. And Portal 2 is just a game, but I believe this concept applies to life and whatever creative endeavors that you wish to partake. Life didn't give you a guide, so just focus on gaining more experience and just make sure you don't spend too much time in the analysis paralysis land. Alright, that's what I wanted to say. Thanks for watching.